Paul Skenes was phenomenal against Philadelphia today in the Pirates' sweep of the Phillies. Is he the best pitcher in baseball?
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into MLB Game Night, where we cover every single game, every single night, as only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves postcast over on Locked On Sports Atlanta. He's JD Hafron, host of Locked On Cardinals. We're going to break down tons of stuff on this one, JD. Zach Gallen gave up some long balls in Cincinnati. Pete Alonso, close to setting history for the Mets. And a Royals prospect had a big day in Chicago against the White Sox. But I want to start with Paul Skenes because we know he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. But it's different when you do it against some of the best competition. Hosting the Philadelphia Phillies today, 37-28 Phillies, by the way. Paul Skenes keys them to a 2-1 victory. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't get the win. Here is Gary from Locked On Pirates with the details about what happened in this one.
Philadelphia Phillies are the first team in 2025 that gets to say the Pittsburgh Pirates swept them. I have no apologies for my cross-state neighbors. Hi, this is Gary from Locked On Pirates. Listen, the Pirates' first sweep this season, and they pitched a beautiful, beautiful series. The bats did just enough. They had their first leads in this game. And I mean, they win at 2-1 to sweep the Phillies. Closely contested games, all of them. Hey, you stand toe-to-toe with a good team, even if they're down right now. I know they came in struggling a little bit. But you're the Pittsburgh Pirates. You're supposed to be their get-right team, and you weren't.
JD, if I had to give you a chance right now to say the next pitcher to pitch a complete game in Major League Baseball, is it Paul Skenes or is it the field? Who are you taking? Are you taking Skenes or are you taking the field?
I would take the field just because I got a lot of chances coming at you, dude. But yeah. Paul Skenes, man, he's something special, and he's been that way since he's come up with the Pirates and all of this craziness about should the Pirates trade him? And no, you shouldn't trade him. Like, he's the future of your franchise. You just got to be better about putting things around him. That's the idea.
Yeah, I mean, this one, they score 2 runs in this game. It is like the final run here, the game-winning run. O'Neal Cruz walks to open the 8th inning, steals second base. Andrew McCutchen hits a single to bring him in. But like, they had 7 hits as a team. They had 1 extra base hit as a team. That's why he doesn't get the win. But like, Philly only had 3 hits in this game.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that he can be this good. And it feels like it's almost kind of hopeless. Like, he's the guy, I'd probably take him to have the next perfect game in baseball if I had to pick somebody right now.
Yeah, it's a possibility, man, because he's just got quite the arsenal. I mean, there's just like, even if he has like 1 pitch that's not quite working at its top tier level that day, he's got like 6 other ones. He's got so many to choose from. It's wild.
Yeah, and he's always adding new stuff. It's absolutely nuts. Flip side of this, I touched a little bit on it, but here's Mark from the Phillies postcast about what went wrong and the series as a whole, because he's not very happy, JD. Heads up on that.
The Phillies get swept out of Pittsburgh, lost 5 of 6 on the road trip, and 10 of their last 13 games. Does this sound familiar? Because this looks exactly like what the Phillies went through last year, except this year's start wasn't as hot as last year's start. You're talking about a team now just 9 games over 500, and this is a team that's supposed to have World Series aspirations. Hey, left field, Max Kepler, he ain't it, Dave Dombrowski. Bryson Stott's a leadoff hitter, Rob Thompson, he ain't it either. You're talking about a sub-300 on-base percentage as a leadoff hitter in your lineup. That's not going to get it done. His approach to the plate is great. His production is non-existent. If those two things aren't matching up, guess what? You don't have a leadoff hitter. Phillies are going to return home for a 3-game series against the Cubs, and I wish I could look forward to that. But what good was that home cooking the last time they were home when they got swept by the Milwaukee Brewers? Phillies have a lot to correct, especially when it comes to the offense.
Okay, on that note, JD, I want to ask you, does it feel like the Phillies are really that far behind everybody else in baseball?
Not really. I mean, I know they've, Aaron Nola having a bad year right now is weird. Harper, he got banged on the elbow, so he's coming back from that. As a whole, I try to look at these things as something that the long look at it. Like, no, I don't just break things down in 10-game intervals. Like, in the long run, I feel like this Phillies team is going to be right there. I mean, there was just like a week ago, they were right there with the Tigers for the most wins in baseball. And now the sky is falling because they're in a little bit of a rut right now. Just as easy as they fell into this thing, I feel like they can pick themselves up and come right back out of it. They're that good. It's a baseball team. Sure, you can make some additions at the trade deadline eventually, but I'm not all that concerned about the Phillies being around for the playoffs at the end of all this.
Yeah. I do think part of it is the health, like you touched on. I mean, they're 1-9 the last 10 games, but Harper's barely played in there. They haven't had Nola. They've been missing some guys, so I kind of get that. Oh, okay. Diamondbacks at Reds. This was a fun one. Reds won 4-2, and it was almost entirely, actually, it was entirely because of the long ball. Here's Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds and his interesting take on the win.
There has been an awakening. Have you felt it? What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, and Sunday was exactly what Matt McClain has needed for this season. It is time for him to break out of the ridiculous slump that he's been in to begin this season. I mean, as we get into the month of June, he's still below the Mendoza line, but a 2-for-3 day, a home run and a couple of RBIs to put the Reds ahead for good. This is the reason. Matt McClain is the big reason. His return is why we believed in this team during spring training. If he can wake up, this team will wake up. And Christian Encarnacion Strand has homered in every single game since coming off the injured list. I think things are starting to turn.
Disney, please don't sue us for the copyright infringement there. All right, JD, you're the Cardinals guy, right? You're 3.5 games ahead of the Reds in the division. Are you more worried about them with this get right game they had on Sunday, or are you more worried about the Brewers, who are a game and a half behind you guys?
The Brewers, they've proven it over the last 3 seasons that they've been the best team in the division. Cubs are fantastic this year. They're really going to be tough for anybody to catch.
Yep.
But there's just been no consistency for the Reds so far this year. This is what they've been doing. They go up and then they come crashing down to earth, and then they go back up and you start to think, okay, maybe they got something clicking here. And then they come falling back down again. Losing Hunter Green is not going to help that cause either. But give them credit, to be able to knock off an Arizona Diamondbacks team who I still think is better than what they're playing. I think there's more talent there than what's going on. They got horrible news about Corbin Burns, which might have deflated some things for him. But I'd be more concerned in that division about the Brewers first and foremost.
And then right behind the Corbin Burns news, Zach Gallen, 6 2/3 innings. He gives up 3 home runs in this game. All 4 runs come off the homers. And it feels like he's had a bit of a long ball. Flip side, Arizona, 5 hits, only 1 for extra bases. Eugenio Suarez hits a homer in a trip back to Cincinnati. Feels fitting. But yeah, I'm more concerned about the Brewers than the Reds right now. But I do think the Reds have the talent. They haven't proven it yet for more than, I guess, this weekend or today. Okay. Your Cardinals hosting the Dodgers. You guys were in line for a sweep, JD. We were all excited. What happened? What happened in the 7-3 loss to LA for your Cardinals today?
Well, Clayton Kershaw was really, really good. He's only been, I think it was his 4th or 5th start since coming off the IL.
4th, I think.
And he was really good in this one. You got to give him credit. One of the better pitchers that, we've seen over the last 20 years. He's got all the hardware to prove it. So when he has a good game against you, you kind of got to tip your cap a little bit. And it was a really close game. When you see 7-3, that's not indicative of how this game actually was. It was a 5-3 game until the last couple innings where the Cardinals had to go to the bottom couple of guys from their bullpen, and they just didn't get the job done. Mookie Betts had an incredible series, 7 for 14 in this series. He was really, really good. But they were able to slow down Shohei and Freddie Freeman in this series. It was good to see Michael McGreevy back on the hill in the big leagues for the Cardinals. They just haven't had a spot for him, even though he's been really good at AAA. And when he's been up in the pros, he's been really good. Had one bad inning, really. Second inning, gave up 3 runs. Was getting a lot of his pitches up in the zone, which he's not one of those hard-throwing guys that can live up there. So the Dodgers were able to tattoo him a little bit in those first couple innings. After that, he settled down nicely, and he's going to be that 6th guy in the rotation moving forward. Just not enough offense in this one. They fought their way back, but they just couldn't get that one like really big hit. They had situations where they could have maybe turned the tides a little bit, but unable to. The Dodgers bullpen got a couple guys back, and Kirby Yates and Kopech, and they looked really good, and were able to shut things down.
Yeah, to your point on slowing down Ohtani and Freeman, I was watching some of this. 8 of the 10 hits came from the back half of LA's lineup, right? Like your Max Muncy, your Hyesung Kim, guys like that. So that's all. When you see that, you're like, okay, they definitely, the pitching staff did well against the guys you're scared of, and then they kind of lost it to everybody else. Well, I want to go from your Cardinals to my Braves because
let's go.
Braves lost 4-3. They got swept by the Giants. The Braves have now lost 7 in a row. And this was one of those frustrating things because both starters weren't that bad. Landon Rupp, 6 innings, 3 runs, literally definition of a quality start, right? Spencer Strider, 6 innings, 4 runs, but 3 earned. So technically still a quality start. But like Giants had 3 total hits. That's all the hits they had in this game. But 3 walks, and 2 of their hits were RBI doubles that cleared the bases. And so it's literally more runs than hits. You don't see it a ton. Atlanta had 6 hits. 2 of those were doubles. Every run was driven in via Matt Olson. Like he had I think it was 2 for 3 with a double and a single sac fly there. But the Braves are now 10 games below 500 for the first time since 2016. They haven't won a series since mid-May. It feels weird to even say that. The Atlanta Braves are 10 games below 500 because I can't think of the last time that's happened. Obviously, it was 2016, but just wild to think about it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on what's going on with Spencer Strider coming back from the injury, and he just has not looked the same? I know the velo's down a little bit. Is he just working his way back and he's just going through a tough time right now, or is there something more to this, you think?
He's working his way back, but he's still trying to break the tendency of here's my fastball. It's 98 miles an hour. It's right down the middle. Hit it if you can. Here's my slider. It's in the zone, but it's a really good slider. He's trying to break those tendencies. He got a little better today about getting things on the edges of the zone, because when you're 95, you can't pump it down the middle and be successful. Right. But he's still not. He threw 90-plus pitches today. 1 curveball, 1 changeup. He's still just fastball slider. He needs to mix it up more until that velocity comes back. And I don't know if it'll be later this season. Will it be next year? We don't know. We assume it's going to come back, right? But it's just a question of when does it do it, and how does he adjust until that happens? All right. One of the best series of the weekend, actually. Cubs at Tigers. Tigers win this 4-0. Jack Flaherty was fantastic. 6 scoreless innings with 9 strikeouts. But I want to hear from our guy, Sam Ulber, because he always has great thoughts about I didn't realize we were so heavy in the Central in this segment. I made the rundown. That's on me. But anyway.
NL Central, stand up.
There you go. Represent the Central. Here's Sam Ulber with some of his observations on the Cade Horton day and the tough day for the offense.
Frustrating game on Sunday, very much like Friday's game in Detroit. I'm Sam Ulber from the Locked On Cubs podcast, and the Cubs lost their first series in quite a long time. Similarly to Friday, there was a huge play on the base paths I thought that flipped this game, but this one wasn't on Quentin Berry. It was Ian Happ trying to score. Would have been second and third, 1 out in a 2-1 game if he was called safe. It was a perfect throw. It took a perfect throw by Kerry Carpenter to get him. And I still thought Happ was safe, honestly, after review, but it was one of those they didn't have enough to overturn. The umpiring in this series was borderline disgraceful Saturday and Sunday. Nico Horner was tossed when he was rung up on a pitch, not even close, with a man on second and nobody out. Craig Counsell followed. I thought Cade overall had his best stuff probably in a start, he was just too overly aggressive with 2 strikes with the fastball. And I thought Carson Kelly didn't call a great game for him, particularly with that at bat. With Riley Green, 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. You want to chase a strike out there. You're looking for Chase. And he threw a fastball right down the middle. I thought Kelly could have helped him out. Overall, just a frustrating series loss, not unexpected, but I thought the Cubs deserved better this weekend. I thought they played overall better. Just some plays on the bases, some really good Tiger defense, and a really good baseball team beat you. So try not to let it turn into 2 series. They go to Philly next. Will be challenging, and you go from there.
Is it really going to be challenging? Philly just got swept by the Pirates. Is it really going to be that challenging? I don't know. Anyway,
I sometimes feel like teams like the Phillies that they play down to their competition, and like with the Cubs coming, maybe they'll feel a little extra motivation maybe they'll step perform up a little bit better and not get embarrassed after what they just did. But something about Sam, what he was saying there against the Tigers, that is how I felt with the Cardinals playing against the Tigers. They do the same thing to everybody. There's nothing spectacular that happens, just decent pitching, good defense, timely hit. It's the simplest formula I've ever seen, and they just pull it off to a T and somehow take 2 of 3 from everybody.
They're fundamentally sound. It works.
Yeah.
All right. In just a second, Pete Alonso is coming close to setting history for the Mets. We'll tell you about that next. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. There's a lot of different options depending on what you're doing. If I'm like on a road trip or something, it's great to grab the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for a busy day. If I'm sitting down and I have time, I want them to occupy my hands. The in-shell option's a classic favorite. So get snacking and get cracking with the nut that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, JD. The Mets beat the Rockies 13-5 today. So they pull off the sweep. Kind of a crash back to earth for the Rockies. We thought they had to get broken up after last week. But Pete Alonso, 2 home runs, giving him 17 on the season. And he is now 2nd in franchise history at 243. He is exactly 9 behind Darryl Strawberry for the franchise's all-time record. Is it going to be weird if he passes Strawberry in a couple weeks or a month or 2 months or whatever, and then doesn't re-sign in the offseason?
It would be really weird for the Mets to even let him get to that point where, like,
extend him
you
down.
have all the money in the world. Like, you're not going to let him walk out the door, are you? Are you? I can't see it.
Yeah, it is. That would be a little bit odd there. But Mets had 6 home runs today. This is one of those classic Colorado games. You're at elevation, 17 hits, 13. They had 13 at-bats with runners in scoring position. I mean, plenty of opportunities to score runs. Colorado had 10 hits. 5 of those are for extra bases. But Chase Dollander, 5 earned runs across 3 innings, really just ended up kind of not being able to do enough there for the loss. I want to move to Astros at Guardians because this one, we've got shorts from both sides of this, and I always love when we get both sides of a game. Yeah. But this is one the Guardians have really struggled in the first 2 games. And Justin Latta has some thoughts on how hard they had to work for the 4-2 victory to avoid the sweep.
Guardians had to find a way to stop the bleeding and get a win to avoid being swept by the Houston Astros on Sunday. And for a slumping offense, that has to start with starting pitching, unfortunately. But it did for the Guardians on Sunday. It's Justin Latta from the Locked On Guardians podcast. Tanner Bybee stepped up. He was the stopper for the Guardians. This is exactly why you pay Tanner Bybee the money. This is why you should be glad he took their money because he was the best version we've seen him in a while. He's been on a good streak recently. We're looking like we're seeing the best version of Tanner Bybee ever. He's more efficient. He's back in the zone with these mechanical tweaks. He's getting more swings and misses. The fastball velocity is up, and he's using his whole arsenal. He is an unpredictable pitcher. Finally, after all this time, we talk about not being predictable as a pitcher, mixing up all of the sequencing. It's really working for him finally. And the Guardians needed that for a struggling offense. They did get 4 runs. They finally beat a left-hander. Bo Naylor had a home run, which you got some production from the bottom of the lineup. The Astros defense made a mistake. And when you're a struggling offense and the other team makes a mistake, you've got to capitalize and say thank you. They did just that. So luckily the Guardians did beat a left-hander. They had great starting pitching all weekend, but they finally had enough offense to back it up. The bullpen was great once again. They get a win, and that's important because the Reds come to town with 3 more left-handers. Jonathan Rodriguez is up, Noel's down. The Guardians have more good pitching going this week against more good pitching from the Reds. We'll talk about all of that on Monday's Locked On Guardians. Make sure you tune in wherever you get podcasts.
He mentioned the struggling offense. My first thought on this one, they went 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Like they scored 4 runs, but you could have scored a lot more. I feel like that was a theme we saw a lot in baseball today.
Yeah, it's normally 1 for 11 doesn't equal a W. Usually that's the one that you're like, this is a frustrating loss, man. We really left a lot out there, and we should have done more damage. And somehow, some way, sometimes it just works out. And the Guardians able to pull this one off. So it's a good ball club. The bullpen, Class A, coming around after a rough start this year. Obviously, he's back into form and looks dominant again from the back end there. So things moving up for the Guardians. I got a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, here's Brett from Locked On Astros. He also saw some of his blame or some blame on his own side for this loss. You heard about the error. Stephen Okert struggled in relief. Here's Brett with more on that.
The Astros were denied a series sweep, but they got the series win. Hello, I'm H-Town Wheelhouse here with Locked On Astros. Brandon Walter was on the mound today. He threw a solid 6 innings, had 5 strikeouts, no walks, and only 2 earned runs. Okert would give 2 runs late. That would be the difference maker, as the Guardians would use small ball. Jake Myers collected 4 hits today. That was a solid game. Cam Smith had a 2-run double that would tie the game. Then obviously we know the result later as the Guardians win 4-2, a successful road series, and they have the day off as they come back home for another 6-game stretch before they head back out on the road. The Astros are squarely in first place, up by 3. If Seattle ends up losing, it'll be 3.5. If not, the very worst they could do is go into Monday, 2.5 game lead in the AOS. Stay tuned in to Locked On Astros. We're your team every day.
I've asked you this before. If the throwing error is on the pitcher, why is that not an earned run? He's the one.
I know. We've talked
he's
about
the one that caused
like,
the error that let the run score.
It's your fault.
Give him the earned run. He earned that run on his ledger. Okay. Marlins at Rays. This was a very, very close game. Tied up in the 8th inning. Yandy Diaz was the machine for Tampa Bay in this one. He goes 3 for 4. He gets 2-run home run in the 5th, but it ended. I believe the run scored thanks to Brandon Lowe with a sac fly late. I really don't know how I feel about the Miami Marlins. Part of me, JD, thinks this is just they don't have the talent. Part of me sees a game like this where they call up Heriberto Hernandez. He goes 3 for 3 and scores a run. Like he's been up for like 5 days. Is this just the Marlins? Are they bad? Are they just like they had a bullpen game today? I mean, is it something? Is it they don't have the pieces? Is it the pieces they have aren't good? What is going on with the Miami Marlins?
I just think it's a young team. I like their team they had a couple years ago when Skip Schumacher was their guy, and he was the
the 2023
of the year. I was like, wow, you guys, there's a lot of talent. They got some things going in the right direction in Miami, and then a year later, poof, they're all gone. They ship them all out. Schumacher's gone. Sandy Alcantara goes down with the arm injury. He has looked like a shell of himself so far this year. They're just not there yet. I don't know how long this rebuild is going to continue to go for the Marlins because, people are like, well, I guess they're going to trade Sandy now. And it's like, well, eventually you got to stop just trading everybody away and just roll with some of these guys. And I don't know if they're there yet. I guess if somebody is willing to overpay for Sandy, that's something that will happen at the trade deadline. But eventually you got to just be like, all right, this is our group and we got to move forward together. You can't just keep shooting people off to other teams all the time.
Yeah. On the note of the 23 Marlins, I want to point out they were 84 and 78. I believe they had a negative run differential, but they went 33 and 14 in 1-run games. Like that's the entire reason they made the postseason as a wild card team. Because negative 57 runs on a run differential that year, but they go 33-14, so they made the postseason. Like you're
which
seeing,
is unsustainable, and we know that.
I mean,
that's
look at Atlanta. Look at Atlanta right now. Atlanta's like the opposite of that. Like they're terrible. I don't want to say they're 9 and like they're what is this here? I have it here. They're the Braves are 9-19 in one-run games. It's the exact opposite of what Miami did that year. And the Braves have a positive run differential, and they're 10 games below 500. So it can skew things like that for you.
Absolutely.
All right. In just a second, we had a couple teams that fought off sweeps in Minnesota and in Sacramento, or in the Athletics. I keep wanting to say Oakland. It's so used to doing that. But we'll get to those teams next, right here on MLB Game Night. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe there's a starting pitching matchup that you really want to see, or one of the top prospects is making his unexpected debut. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, maybe even bring more people to come with you. Game Time makes it possible because Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals with clear seat views and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. JD, I want to rapid fire real quick on a few of these because Blue Jays at Twins. Blue Jays won the first two games of this series. Minnesota, though, 6-3 victory. They get home runs from Brooks Lee and Christian Vasquez. They had 12 hits. Royce Lewis started on the bench, but he got 2 homers. Like he came off the bench with 2 hits there. The big thing for me was Joe Ryan gave them 5 innings of 2-run ball. They put Pablo Lopez on the IL with an injury. They put Simeon Woods-Richardson on the IL with an injury. They really need a good start like that. Flip side is Blue Jays. Only 5 hits as a team. 2 of those are for extra bases. Bowden Francis goes 3 1/3 with 4 earned runs allowed and 5 walks. Never a good sign you have more walks than innings. But Twins avoid the sweep. You want to take Orioles, A's?
Yeah, Orioles, A's avoid the sweep with a 5-1 victory over Baltimore. A's have been just in nosedive lately. So to get to avoid the sweep is, some positive news for the Athletics. The other Max Muncy, not the one that plays for the Dodgers, but the other one, he homers his third. Jacob Wilson, who continues to just be amazing offensively for the A's. 2 for 4. He's now batting .372. Jacob Lopez and Sean Newcomb combined for 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 7 hits, 2 walks, 8 Ks. Sugano for Baltimore. He been a pretty good story most of the year.
Yeah.
Only last 4 1/3, 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. Only 2 strikeouts in this one. Baltimore, 8 hits, but 7 of them are singles. You look at that lineup and you're just not expecting them to be a bunch of singles hitters out there.
Yeah.
You expect a whole lot more. Only run comes on an Athletics throwing error on a pickoff attempt in the second. 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So Baltimore in a bad place. The A's are in a bad place. Somebody had to win eventually. A's ended up taking this one 5-1.
You left me a great segue there. Talking about somebody had to win eventually. Padres at Brewers. Padres won this 1-0. This game had a total of 7 hits. These two teams combined to go 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. But the only extra base hit, Manny Machado's solo shot in the 7th. Like, Padres have 3 hits in this one, 4 hits for Milwaukee. And the starters weren't necessarily bad. Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Ryan Burgett, had not heard of Ryan Burgett, 5 1/3, 1 hit against Milwaukee. They used 5 relievers to close that one out. Robert Suarez gets his 21st save. The thing for Milwaukee, again, 4 hits, all singles. They have 6 walks, but they just can't seem to link those up to get the runs. Royals, White Sox. Do you want Royals, White Sox, or do you want Rangers, Nationals? They're both fun games.
I'll talk Royals since they're on
Okay.
the other side of the state from me, because
There
the
you go.
Royals were able to win it 7-5, and we just saw them in St. Louis, and they took 2 of 3. So Royals win this one 7-5. They avoid a sweep
Yeah.
by the Chicago White Sox. Nobody saw that one coming. Obviously, the talk of the town for Kansas City right now, Jack Caglione, the outstanding rookie. He ends up having a monster game, goes 4 for 4 with a double. It seems like every time he puts the bat on ball, it goes like
110 miles an hour. Yeah.
like
He's
it is
crushing baseballs, dude.
He is unbelievable, and he just looks the part. Like, you look at that dude, you're like, that's going to be a superstar at something. He is really good.
He's the guy you
Jonathan
have get off
India-
the bus first, right?
What's that?
He's the guy you have get off the bus first.
Yes, you just be like, whoa, this is impressive. Look at these guys coming in. Jonathan India, 3 for 4 from the leadoff spot. The Royals, I think, are a very solid team. Have had some trouble scoring runs so far this season, but they put up 7. If you're the Royals and you're getting that kind of production, you should be winning, because their pitching staff usually doesn't give up a whole lot. So the White Sox only 4 hits, but one is a first inning 2-run homer by Vargas, and that was all she wrote. So Royals take this one and avoid the sweep.
Credit to the White Sox, though. They had 5 double plays. They turned 5. They did everything they could to try to help in this one. Okay, Rangers at Nationals. Rangers win this 4-2 bullpen game for them, too. The big thing for me here, like Evan Carter, Jake Berger both have a homer and a double. That's great. They combined for 6 hits, 3 RBI, all that stuff. Marcus Semien started off awful. He had a cold streak as well in there. He gets 2 hits. He's now batting .218. Texas gets 11 hits in this one, but they are still hitless with runners in scoring position in this game. 0 for 11 in this. When you're looking at like the teams you fear the most, it's a great question in the chat from Jack. Which team do you guys fear the most? The Rangers on paper feels like you should fear them, but it's the pitching staff. Right? The offense hasn't done much of anything, and even today, 11 hits, 5 for extra bases, but nothing with runners in scoring position, and they get 4 runs to win the game.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And I just saw them beat the snot out of the Cardinals in a couple of games, and we're like, okay, that looks more like the Rangers we're used to seeing, and then they just fell off a cliff again. It's hard to explain. I mean, they've switched out hitting coaches. I don't know what it's going to take. Obviously, a healthy Corey Seager is a big deal for that lineup, but the fallout from Adolis Garcia, Semien having a horrible year. I mean, you take all 3 of them out of their lineup, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Mariners at Angels, talking about something that's a problem. George Kirby is back. Okay.
Woo!
This is a 3-2 Seattle win. 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 14 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So he's striking out 2 of the 3 outs per every inning are strikeouts. But flip side of this, Seattle, 11 hits, but only 3 runs. A similar situation to Texas. Seattle's offense has been much better since they hired Kevin Seitzer. But this game should not have been a 1-run game. It should have been a bigger win than this.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those rare things where it's like runners in scoring position. You feel like, well, it's just hitting, it's just like normally, and it's not. And I don't know what gets into some of these guys' heads where it just changes things. But 11 hits and only pulling off 3 runs. That's usually not a good sign and doesn't usually get you a W. But here in this case, Mariners outlast the Angels.
There you go. All right, JD, challenge for you. We've got 1 minute before the clock runs out. Can you get us through Red Sox at Yankees? Because that was a wild game on Sunday Night Baseball.
Home runs galore. The ball was flying at Yankee Stadium. Boston wins this one 11-7. They take 2 of 3 in the series. Aaron Judge gets 2 home runs because he's Aaron freaking Judge. He's amazing. Hits 1 on the first pitch he sees in the game. Hits 1 on the last pitch he sees in the game. In the 9th inning, it's a 2-run blast. 22nd, 23rd of the year. Now tied with Ohtani for second most. Carlos Rodon was cruising until the 5th inning, but a 2-out walk, you know how those can be a problem, Lindsay. You don't do that. Big no-no. That followed up by a 2-run home run by Christian Campbell. Then in the 6th inning, he hits Devers with a pitch. Then he hits a walk, and then a 3-run jack by Narvaez. All of a sudden, the Yankees are chasing Boston in this one, and Boston just keeps jacking home runs. Mm-hmm. They get back-to-back ones from Abraham Toro and Trevor Story and make it 9-5, and it was pretty much over from there. But Boston's bottom 4 in the order combined for 8 hits, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 6 runs scored. Just an incredible night of offense for both teams, but Boston comes out on top.
Yeah, for the sake of my usual MLB Game Night partner, Steve Lennox, who hosts the Red Sox Postcast, I really need Boston to be better. I hope this is the catalyst for them. This has been another fantastic night of baseball.
Bring up Roman Anthony. What are you doing?
Roman Anthony would help. Bring up Roman Anthony. Another fantastic night of baseball. Remember, MLB Game Night is every game, every night, as only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. For JD Hafron, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been MLB Game Night.